Alright, in this video we're going to learn how to take an equation of a circle in general form, like this, and convert it to standard form. That's the form with the parentheses in it. Like this. Alright, we'll start with number 5. The bottom line is we are going to be completing the square. You should start by collecting your terms that sort of go together. So I have x squared and 4x, those go together. So let's rewrite them side by side. So that'll be x squared minus 4x. Alright, now leave a space. And then now we're going to do the y's. So those go together. So I'm going to have plus y squared plus 8y. Now you see that 6 there. Well, that's got to go to the other side. So I'm just going to subtract 6 from both sides. Okay, so then I'll just have, just leave that gap, and we'll have equals -6. So now is where we complete the square twice, once for the blue stuff and once for the pink. So half the middle squared. Half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So I'm going to add a 4 here. This is called completing the square. When you complete the square, that number that you add, you have to add it on both sides of the equation to keep the balance. Even, excuse me, if you think of this as a -2, -2 squared is still +4. Now, looking at the y's, half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So I need to add a 16 right here to complete the square, and then I also need to add it on the right-hand side of the equation. So what happens is, if we do our jobs correctly, this will always factor as the same thing twice. The sign's going to come from right there. So it'll be x minus 2 times x minus 2. And then this one is going to be y plus 4 times y plus 4. Let's see, -6 and +16, that's 10, and then plus 4 is 14, so I'll have 14 right here. Alright, so now it's time for the end. So this will be x minus 2 squared plus y plus 4 squared. And that's equal to 14. So this would be the equation of the circle in standard form. Let's see, do they ask us to find the center or anything? No. Just for fun, if they had asked us for the center, please remember that the center would have been +2, -4. All right, the opposite of this and the opposite of this. And the radius, keeping in mind that this is the radius squared, the radius would have been the square root of 14. But they didn't ask us that, so that was extra. No extra charge. All right. Okay, this one is next level. Well, you know what? I thought it was going to be difficult at first, because when you have to complete the square and there's a number in front, that can be really hard and tricky. However, I'm noticing that all of these numbers are divisible by 6. So, so suddenly I'm not worried anymore. I'm just going to divide everything by 6, and that's okay. Divide by 6 everywhere. Alright, so that's going to make this problem become x squared plus y squared plus 2x plus 4y plus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, now I have my x squared and my y squared have no visible coefficient, so we're back to normal. So I'm going to put my x terms together like I've done before. So that's going to make x squared plus 2x. All right, now I'm going to put my y terms together. Leave a space, please. So I'm going to have plus y squared plus 4y. All right, now I've still got my, come on, I've still got my plus 6 equals 0. So actually, let me deal with that now. I changed my mind. So what I want to do is, let's subtract that 6 from both sides before we go any further. So I will have this negative 6 over there. Okay, now, time to complete the square. Half the middle squared. Half of this is 1. 1 squared is 1. Don't forget to add it to the other side as well. Now look at the y's. Half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. Don't forget to add that to the other side as well. So these will factor as x plus 1 times x plus 1. That's what that factors down as. This will factor down as y plus 2 times y plus 2. Let's see, negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5, plus 4 is negative 1. This does not look right. All right, over here I'm going to get x plus 1 squared, and here I'll have y plus 2 squared. Okay, but that would mean the radius is imaginary. So, I mean, when you square something, it's always going to be positive. So this term is going to be positive because it's being squared, and this term is going to be positive. So how are you going to add two positive things and end up with a negative? So this doesn't make any sense. But I'm going to put a box around it for now and ask one of my colleagues if I'm overlooking something. But it seems like this is just an invalid equation because you can't have a negative number here. Okay. So on problem number 7, I have this x squared term, but there's no other x to go next to it. That's okay. I'll just write down my x squared term and it'll just do its own thing. It's flying solo. Actually the y's are already right next to each other. So far I didn't really rewrite anything. So plus y squared minus 14y. All I really need to do is add 9 to both sides to get that out of there. Okay, so that's going to give me equals 9. So now it's time to complete the square. So again, with the x squared, there you don't need to complete the square. That's done. It's just the y's. Half of 14 is 7. 7 squared is 49. All right, so just bring down your x squared. But this will factor as the same thing twice. So this will be y minus 7 2 times. And this is equal to 58. And so we're almost done. We'll just go ahead and write this as x squared plus y minus 7 squared is equal to 58. And this is standard form. All right, let's look at one more example. This time we have things on both sides of the equation. It's important that you keep your x squared and your y squared positive to make it easier to factor accurately. So I'm not going to move these to the right. Instead, I'm going to move these to the left. Might as well leave the 26 where it is. So to move this 10x, I'm going to subtract 10x from both sides. And I'm going to go ahead and put it over here near the x squared, even though these will just wind up next to each other. And similarly, I'm going to add the 2y, so these will cancel out. So I'm going to add 2y over here as well. Okay, so this all cancels out. So as I start to recopy, I've got this pair of terms. So that's going to be x squared minus 10x. I'm just writing them next to each other. And then I'm going to leave a gap, all right, and I'm going to add on this pair. So that'll be plus y squared plus 2y. And I'm going to leave another gap. Okay, and the 26 is over there by itself, so I'm just going to leave it over there. So now's the time to complete the square. So looking at the x's, half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is 25. Don't forget to add it to both sides. Looking at the 2, half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So I'm going to add that to both sides as well. So now I see that this is going to factor as x minus 5 times x minus 5. And the y are going to factor as y plus 1 times y plus 1. And that's going to equal 52, all right? 25 plus 26 is 51, so 52. And so this is pretty much my answer. I'm just going to go ahead and put it all together. So from the blue piece here, that gives me x minus 5 squared. All right, from these two, I have y plus 1 squared. And then, of course, that's equal to 52. So this is the standard form. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. I hope it was helpful. I'll see you on the next video.